Hey everyone, it's Jeremiah Demarahi, founder of Advisorist, and you are here for today's special class, How to Handle Objections, with our #1 best-selling author, Tom Hegna. Do me a quick favor, folks. We had a little issue when we first logged in today. I want to make sure that we can hear you. In the question box, can you please put the word yes if you can see my face and you can see the screen and you can hear my voice. So if you can just kindly do that right now for me, that would be great. Then we'll know that all is good. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, looks like some of you are discovering where the box is. All right. Okay. Scott, Daryl, Einar, Ryan, Stephen. All right. Alan, John, Jim, David. Good to see you out here. Don, Melvin, Kenneth, Amin. Beautiful. Okay. All the yeses are starting to come through. Beautiful. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We're really excited to have you here for today's very, very special masterclass with my good friend and #1 best-selling author, Tom Hegna. You know, I've had the privilege of serving this community for 15 years, and one of the top, I guess, requests that I've gotten and I've seen a lot of my clients get is, what do I say when they tell me X, right? I don't have the time. Send me some information. That's probably got to be one of the worst ones. I'm not really interested right now, or I already have somebody I'm working with. In fact, you were to probably sit down and write all the objections that you've ever heard in your career. You probably come up with a list of about 100 of them. Well, there's nobody, in my opinion, that is stronger and more qualified and better at teaching others how to handle objections than Tom Hegna. And for those of you that haven't had the experience of the Tom Hegna experience, I want to just share a little bit about him so you know that the next hour of your life is going to be very well invested. Think about this. If you're able to overcome, let's say, 10 more objections only next year, right? You took 2 months off and every month you're able to get over one more objection, and that led to one more policy. And let's say you're making $1,000 to $10,000, let's say if you have an annuity, this class today could be worth anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 to know how to master objections. So I'm really, really honored to have Tom Hegna here. Let me tell you a little bit about him. So Tom is not just a coach and trainer in our space. He's, in my opinion, one of the legends. He's been on the MDRT stage many times. He's one of the most well-traveled, well-heeled speakers in our industry. He's been doing it much longer than I have. I'm not scared to admit it. He's former vice president of New York Life, retired lieutenant colonel, and an economist. He's given over 5,000 seminars, if you can believe it, all over the world, called Paychecks and Playchecks, which really break down retirement approaches, helping baby boomers to secure retirement in an optimal way. I had Tom on a little earlier this year, and it was one of the most requested replays that anybody ever asked for. So you're in for a treat today. If you're interested in other things about Tom, you should know that his Paychecks and Playchecks books, which is called Retirement Solutions for Life, has sold over 120,000 copies around the world and has been a #1 bestseller in the Kindle category for the last 2 years. He has books that have been but have been published for Canadian retirement. So for all my fellow Canadians out there, you should definitely look him up. He is a wealth of knowledge. So without further ado, Tom, we're super, super excited to have you here, my friend. Welcome. And I've got my notepad right next to my desk right here, buddy, and I'm ready to take notes. So welcome to the training today.
Thank you, Jeremiah, and thank you all for coming. I put my video up there. Can you see me, Jeremiah? Or
Absolutely. And you're wearing a trademark orange, which I love.
Well, I had to do that. I wear orange every day, at least when I'm presenting. And I normally do live. I'm not a big webinar guy. I'm not as good as Jeremiah. Hey, type this in the chat box. I can barely run my slide, much less read all this other stuff. So I'm going to put this up just so you can see I'm here. I would ask you, I'm going to dedicate myself to all of you for the next, 45 minutes to an hour. And so please eliminate distractions if you would. And I will try to deliver a lot of content to you. And if I do a good job, then at the end, I'm gonna give you an offer that this is the first day I've ever given this offer. So with that, I'm gonna stop my video. I'm gonna get right into my presentation and try to deliver a lot of great content for you. All right. So look, last time I was here, I kind of gave you more of the history. So let me just bring you up to speed from what I did last time, and then we're going to get into questions and objections. So I've written now 5 books on retirement, 3 in the United States, 2 in Canada. And my first book is a book by the name of Paychecks and Playchecks. And I will tell you, I'm a reluctant author. I never want to write a book. I didn't dream of writing a book. It wasn't on my bucket list, so I had to write a book. Well, here's why. Because right now, if your clients talk to 50 different financial advisors and ask this very simple question, how should I retire? You know what they're going to get? They're going to get 50 different opinions of what they ought to do. Well, guess what? Retirement's been studied in depth by PhDs all over the world. People like Dr. David Bavel from Wharton, Dr. Moshe Milevsky of Toronto, Dr. Menachem Yari of Israel. Most recently, Dr. Robert C. Merton, a Nobel Prize winner, just published in the Harvard Business Review. Well, guess what? I've read their research. And you know what their research says? There are not 50 optimal ways to retire. There's really one optimal way to retire, and that's not my opinion. It's based on mathematical, scientific, and economic facts. So when I go around the country, I don't go out there and share a bunch of my opinions. What I do is lay out the math and science behind a successful retirement. I show people how they should retire. Now, whether they choose to do that or not is completely up to them. You got to know, I sell no financial products. I don't work for any one company. I get hired by most of Fortune 500 insurance and investment companies to do 2 simple things. Number 1, I train financial advisors, and number 2, I do public seminars. So that's what I do. Now, if I had to summarize Paychecks and Playchecks, I'd summarize it this way. What day of the week do you spend the most money? What day of the week do you go golfing? What day of the week do you go to Home Depot? What day of the week do you get your nails done, your hair done? Well, for most people, that day's Saturday. Well, guess what? The day you retire, every day is Saturday. See, you're not just going to need to have paychecks. I would argue you better have some playchecks or you're never going to enjoy your retirement. Well, I gave the Paychecks and Playchecks talk down in San Diego about 5 years ago at a big industry meeting. And there was somebody there from PBS, public television. And they said, Tom, we need to take this message out to the American people because they're getting the wrong message from all these other talking heads. But we're not sure that people are really going to understand this paycheck and playcheck thing. We would need a simpler title. So I wrote another book. It's called Don't Worry, Retire Happy, because I think everybody can understand that. And this is now played on PBS in over 80 million homes in the U.S. and Canada. I hope you saw it. If you didn't, here are the 7 simple steps I've shared with the American people on how to retire happy and successful. And then we're going to get right into the handling objections portion. Step number 1, they got to have a plan. How can you get anywhere if you don't have a roadmap or a plan of how to get there? And with this, I say they've got to work with a financial professional. Retirement is not a do-it-yourself project. Look, about 85% of my talks now are public seminars. I get hired by companies and advisors to get in front of their clients and share with them how they should retire. And when I'm in front of clients, I say this: I'm willing to bet you don't do your own dental work in your garage with your drill set, and I don't think you ought to do your own retirement planning either. Step number 2, we need to show them how to maximize their Social Security benefits. For those of you who in Canada, your OAS and CPP benefits, but your government benefits. You know, for most people, Social Security is the largest retirement asset they have, and yet people spend more time planning their summer vacation than learning how to maximize those valuable benefits. Step number 3, we need to encourage them to consider a hybrid retirement. See, too many people are trying to retire too early. They haven't saved enough money. And if we could get our clients to work a couple extra years, even part-time, we can increase their success in retirement significantly. Step number 4, we've got to give them a way to protect themselves against inflation. Inflation is like a virus that gets worse over time. And in my seminars, that's what I do. Step number 5, they need to secure more retirement income. See, I say this a lot, but the success of your retirement is not about your assets. It's not about how big your 401k is or your brokerage account or if you have a fancy house. It is not about your assets. The success of your retirement, the success of your client's retirement is going to have everything to do with income. And I spend a lot of time, and I prove to them they need guaranteed lifetime income. Step number 6, they must have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. And step number 7, use their home equity wisely. For many of your clients, their house is one of the largest assets they have. I share with them ways to do that. And then I wrap up my presentations with the most efficient way to pass wealth to children and grandchildren and charities is with life insurance. I tell people, don't leave your kids any money. Spend your money. Spend every last nickel you got. Leave them life insurance because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. So the way that Jeremiah and I really work well together is he can get you the appointments. these presentations I just shared with you the last time that I was on, I give you the words and language to explain these concepts to your clients, because this is not a knowledge business anymore. I got news for you. This is a words business. This is a language business. This is a questions business, and this is a stories business. See, you want to increase your production? Work on your words, work on your language, work on your questions, work on your stories. And that's what all of my other webinars, the last time I was here, I focused on the words, language, questions, and stories. What I'm going to do today is really focus on the questions and the objections, okay? So let me share with you why questions are so important. Asking questions avoids arguments. Have you ever had an argument with a client or a prospect? I have. And you know what happened? Either I gave a very strong opinion or they gave a very strong opinion that conflicted, and that's how arguments happen. So instead of, expressing your strong views, why don't you ask them what they think, what they believe? Asking questions avoids arguments. Asking questions helps you avoid talking too much. One of the biggest mistakes most advisors do is they talk too much. You should shut up and listen. Ask questions. Telling is not selling. Telling is not selling. Listening is selling. Asking questions is selling. I was a manager, and I take these new agents on appointments, and they just want to talk and talk and talk and talk. I want to kick them under the table, say, be quiet. Ask more questions. You want to triple your production? Ask 3 times as many questions. Talk 1/3 as much. Stop talking. Start asking, start listening. That is what selling is all about. Asking questions helps a person recognize what they want. It crystallizes their thinking. If you ask the right questions, all of a sudden it becomes their idea, not your idea, their idea on how to solve the problem. Asking questions helps you get to the key issues faster. And asking questions shows that you respect their opinions. And when you respect their opinions, guess what? They're going to respect your opinions. So let me give you some good life insurance questions. Hey, tell me what you know about life insurance and how it works. Instead of just going in, oh, hey, we got this great IUL product, or we got this great whole life, or we got this great term. Instead of going into your presentation, ask them some questions. Hey, what do you know about life insurance? What's your philosophy about life insurance? Oh, well, I only need it while the kids are young, and then I won't need it anymore. You want to know how they're thinking before you make your presentation. You're going to make a much better presentation if you know what's in their mind before you do it. Hey, where'd you learn about life insurance? My daddy? Well, what did your daddy do? He was a Mass Mutual agent for 37 years. Wouldn't you want to know that? Or, my daddy didn't believe in life insurance. You want to know this stuff before you make your presentation. Hey, where does life insurance fit into your overall plan? What are your thoughts around term life insurance? I love it. I hate it. What are your thoughts about cash value life insurance? I love it. I hate it. You will make a much more powerful presentation if you know the answers to these questions before you get into your presentation. Hey, how do you determine how much life insurance you need? You called me on the phone. You said you wanted a $200,000 term policy. How did you figure out $200,000? Just see how they're thinking before you make your presentation. Now, here's some really deep life insurance questions. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, how much life insurance would you buy today? Oh, as much as I could get. Good. Let's put that on the application. We can say, please issue as large as possible. We can put that on the application. If life insurance was free, how much would you want? As much as I could get. Great. Let's apply for that. If you were hit by a drunk driver, for you millennials, if you were hit by a texting driver, how much would your family sue for? I promise you they wouldn't sue for $200,000. They would sue for $5 million. You know why? Because that's what your human life value is. And I'm going to talk a little bit about human life value in a little while. So let's get into the handling objections. So you made your presentation, you feel good about it, but all of a sudden they start throwing objections at you. Well, let me talk about why clients have objections in the first place. Number one, it might be a lack of knowledge. Hey, I just don't need it. It might be a specific concern. Those fees I've been reading, your fees are way too high. It could be a false objection. They got a hidden agenda. They want something else, but they won't say it. And by the way, I'm going to share with you that about 90% of the objections are false objections. When they say, send me something in the mail, that's a false objection. Okay. That's not even a real objection. So let's get through the false objections. I'll give you some techniques to do that. It might be a perception issue. Oh, I don't trust insurance companies. Insurance companies aren't safe. So that's some of the reasons why they have objections. They may not be clear about their interests. It just isn't a priority to them. So let me give you some techniques. Now, this is one of the most powerful things I'm going to be sharing with you today. These are powerful techniques. I've learned these over the years. I've worked with them. They really do work. So number one, thank them. Remember, if they're objecting, at least they're listening. At least they're participating, all right? Empathize with them. Acknowledge the objection. Thank you, Jeremiah. You know what? I hear that often, or I used to believe the same thing. Before I ever got in this business, that was my objection too. I used to say that. May I ask why? May I ask why? You want to dig deeper, okay? Because I said many of the first objections are false. Make them lay it all out. Ask them why. Dig a little deeper. Show them the value. Remember, if they're giving you an objection, they don't see the value, because if they saw the value, they would not be objecting, right? I mean, if you've ever got into something, you're getting a screaming deal, you're not objecting to that deal. The only time you object is if I don't really see what's in it for me. Like, well, I don't get this. So you've got to show them the value. If you're showing them the value, they're not going to object. So right now, you may think you showed them the value. They're not seeing it. So you might have to go over, hey, let me go over this one more time. Let me show you why this is so valuable to you. Got to show them the value. Use third-party references. Use my stuff. Use Dr. David Babel. Use Dr. Robert C. Merton. Use the Forbes magazine. Use the Wall Street Journal. Use third-party references and client references to, again, show them why they need to have this. Now, here are some basic ways to handle objections. Number one, know your stuff, okay? Now, not only know your stuff, that doesn't mean just be very technically proficient in what you got to do. Know your competitors' stuff better than they do. And I'll just give you an example. When I was a brand new agent, I was an agent with MetLife at the time, and I would always be I was working the new home market, and I was competing all the time with New York Life. Well, it ended up I went and spent 15 years at New York Life later, but when I was an agent, I was competing with New York Life, and I was losing on a regular basis. And I said, okay, this is driving me crazy. So what I found was that, at least on their term policies, MetLife had a higher initial term premium. New York Life had a lower initial premium, but they raised their premium very quickly over the next 10 years. And so what I found is that the premiums over 10 years, MetLife was way lower than New York Life. But initially, everybody just looks at that first year premium. Oh, they're cheaper than you. I'm going with them. Well, once I learned that we were cheaper over 10 years and I could point that out to a client, I never lost another case. But I had to not just know my stuff, I had to know their stuff, okay? So know your stuff, be very technically proficient, and know your competitor. If you're getting beat, you better know that competitor's policy better than they know it. Answer the objection in your presentation. I do that all the time. People say, oh, Ken Fisher hates annuities. Susie Orman hates annuities. Dave Ramsey hates annuities. I put it in my presentation and I knock it right out of the park right there. And I show them that that's totally false. And I handle it in the objection in the presentation. I'll tell you another one. I used to get, I want to think about it. I want to think about it. It drove me crazy. I was a new agent and everybody wanted to think about it. Well, guess what? I put that into my presentation so that in my close, what I would say is this, instead of saying, well, so what do you think? That is the worst close. Don't ever do that. Say this. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to fill out this paperwork. I'm going to send it in. It's going to take about 3 weeks because guess what? Our company has to think about it too. We have to do what's called underwriting. So the company has to think about it, but it works out perfect because I know you probably want to think about it. I kind of want to think about it. So guess what? We all get to think about it for like 3 weeks. We're going to think about it. And then I'm going to come back and then I'll make my final presentation. So it took the I want to think about it off of the table. So if you are getting an objection all the time, you get it all the time, you put that in your presentation and you handle it. Many people say this, and then you already have it and you handle it ahead of time, it'll never come up again. Now, this next one, it kind of sounds mean, but it was the most powerful thing. When I had a top producer teach me this, my business just skyrocketed. He said, just smile and say, that's okay, and keep going. Just ignore it. Oh, I can't afford it. That's okay. And just keep going. I don't need it. That's okay. Keep going. Oh, my daddy doesn't like life insurance. That's okay. Keep going. Just keep going. And you know what? It never comes back. You know why? Because 90% of the first objections you get are false objections. So ignore it. Just smile. Say, that's okay. Just keep going with your presentation. If it's a serious objection, guess what? It'll come back. They'll say, well, remember I said I can't afford it, or whatever the objection is. But just ignore it. Keep going. Defer the objection. Say, you know, Jeremiah, that's a great point. I'm coming to that right in the next page. So just hang on, and you can defer it. Sometimes you got to handle the objection, and I'm gonna show you how to handle the objection. But focus on helping them instead of trying to sell them something. See, The advisors who have trouble are the ones who say, oh, I got to sell this policy, man. I got to hit my quota. I got to hit this for my bonus, or they're going to fire me if I don't sell this policy. That is a terrible position to be in. Focus on helping the client. See, if you're really helping them retire the right way, if you're helping them protect their family, if you're helping them, become a millionaire, multimillionaire through investments, if you're focused on helping them, then the objection isn't an objection against you. It's just something you have to help them through these hurdles as you are working together to help them. So if you focus on helping them rather than selling to them, the objection is it's not an issue. It's not a conflict at all with them. Again, show them the value. If they're objecting, they do not see what the value is for them. They don't see what it's in it for them. Again, use third-party references, use client references. I've got free videos on the YouTube channel. I've got articles. I got blogs that you can send them links. I've been published in Forbes and all these different magazines. You can send them articles that Wade Pfau, Jamie Hopkins writes very positive stuff. Mary Beth Franklin, Don Graves. There's a lot of people out there that you can refer them to and use third-party references. And Jeremiah, I just want to pause to see if you got anything that you want to throw in before I go into actually handling objections.
What I wanted to just share is I've been keeping a little track of the number of nuggets that I've been picking up, and I'm at 21 so far, 21 lines. And for those of you that are listening in, I as fast as I can go, I am typing into the group chat because he's just ripping through these, isn't he? I mean, it's fantastic. Sumi is saying excellent suggestions, especially from the New York Life. This is outstanding, and I love how, I think most of us, Tom, we come to the table like if somebody asks me a question, the programmatic way our brain replies is must answer, must answer, must answer. The time we're a kid, right? Our parents ask us something, we have to answer. I love that little mindset shift that says that's okay, and we just can keep moving on. Because really, ultimately, it's about you building a place of trust, of confidence. And sometimes you have to take their hand and be like, that's okay. Many times in the sales process, that's all somebody wants is to know they're not making a bad decision. For somebody to tell them, it's okay. This is going to be fine. Right. So I'm just loving this. So this is excellent. I don't want to take up any more time because I know you got a lot more good. So let's keep ripping.
Yeah. And Jeremiah, think like when you're at, let's say you're shopping for a new suit or you're shopping for a new tie and you walk into a store and people say, can I help you? You say, no, I'm just looking. How many times I've said that? You've said that. We've all said that. And yet we kind of do want to find that new suit or that new tie, but we say, no, I'm just looking. And how many salespeople say, okay, that's fine, and they walk away. And other people say, oh, that's okay. Hey, did you know we have a sale on these ties right over here? They're very nice. What's your favorite color? And they go right in. They just ignore it. And those are the great salespeople because they're polite, but they go right through it. They just ignore it, and they just say, hey, we got a sale on suits right over here. Our clearance section's right over here. And then these ties, oh, you buy two, you get four free or something, And they're the ones that really help you. And that's what you're looking for. And it's the same in our business. People throw out just dumb objections and they're not real. So say that's okay, but let me show you what these third-party people say and just go right into the presentation. So now I want to go into actually handling some objections. This is the way I handle objections on like life. I talk about how they need lifetime income. So many times I get objections, and the first objection I get is from advisors. People say, well, Tom, I don't want to commit a new aside to my book of business. I get paid on assets under management. And by golly, if I start selling them annuities, that's going to reduce my assets under management. I've heard that thousands of times. That is a false objection. I have worked with tens of thousands of advisors who get paid on assets under management. I cannot name one single advisor who started selling annuities and saw their assets under management go down. In fact, exactly the opposite. Your assets under management are going to explode to the upside if you add annuities to the portfolio. All right. And look, I'm not the only one saying it. Look at what the Financial Research Corporation of Boston, which I quote them often. They've done all kinds of white papers on the power of income annuities. Here's what they say. FRC does not believe that equity managers will lose assets to income annuities. In fact, FRC believes that equity managers are likely to gather and hold more assets in the presence of an income annuity than they would in the absence of an income annuity. And then if I said fidelity, if I just say the word fidelity, are you thinking annuities or are you thinking assets under management? Well, you're thinking assets under management. Well, guess what? Fidelity sells billions of income annuities. And I can promise you, they would not sell one if it reduced their assets under management. You know what Fidelity found? By adding income annuities, their assets under management soared to the upside, as did their customer satisfaction. And that's what you're going to find. In fact, the fastest way for you to lose assets under management is for you not to use annuities. You know, when this market crashes, and boy, it's been wobbling, when this market goes down 30, 40, 50%, you know who's going to lose assets? It's all the advisors who did not add annuities to their portfolio. Oh, I can do better with stocks and bonds. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. In fact, I will prove it to you. If anyone on this call believes that annuities are bad or that they can do better without them, I'll give you this challenge. You can prove me wrong. You can be a hero amongst your peers. It's a very simple challenge. All you have to do is build a portfolio that you think I cannot beat. Oh, he'll never beat this one. We're going to put all the good stocks in there. Yeah, you build that portfolio. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reach into your portfolio. I'm going to remove some of your bonds. I'm going to replace them with a lifetime income annuity. Do you know what that'll do to every single one of your portfolios? Every single one of them? It'll lower the risk and increase the returns. Now, that's a pretty simple challenge. If you don't believe me, you prove me wrong. But here's why you can't. Inside of a portfolio, the way that an income annuity functions, it functions like a AAA rated bond with a CCC rated yield with 0 standard deviation. So let's go back to the challenge. You build a portfolio you think I cannot beat. I'm going to remove some of your bonds. I'm going to replace them with a AAA rated bond with a CCC rated yield with 0 standard deviation. What will that do to every single one of your portfolios? It'll lower the risk and increase the return. See, Tommy doesn't make this stuff up. These are mathematical, scientific, and economic facts, which is another way that you combat objections. I can beat any objection out there on an income annuity just by using math and science. These aren't my opinions. These are mathematical, scientific, and economic facts. Yeah, but Tom, why would I buy a lifetime income annuity and rates are at 50-year lows? I'm going to wait for rates to go up. Then I'm going to buy my income annuity. False, false, wrong, wrong, wrong. First of all, interest rates are not going to go up. What have you been doing? Watching CNBC? You really think interest rates are going up? I can tell you interest rates are not going up. You can Google my name, Tom Hegna, Economic Commentary. You're going to see for the past 6 years, I've been consistent. Rates are not going up. Rates are not going up. Rates are not going up. I don't have time to go over it all with you, but you can watch those videos. But what you're going to find, and you say, well, Tom, you're wrong. The Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates. The Federal Reserve does not set interest rates. The Federal Reserve sets the bank overnight lending rate that affects about 0% of your clients. Who sets the 30-year bond? Who sets the 10-year bond rate? The market does. And the market is telling the Fed to go pound sand. Have you seen what's been happening? The yield curve is actually inverted. So the Federal Reserve has raised their overnight lending rate, but guess what? The 5-year is lower than the 2-year. That it's inverted because the market says interest rates are not going up, and it has everything to do with debt, deleveraging, and demographics. I don't have time to cover it in this call, but you can Google Tom Hegna Economic Commentary. You can watch it. There's a 5-minute video for every one of these years where I will tell you why interest rates are not going up. But the other thing is interest rates don't matter that much on a lifetime income annuity. It's not an interest rate play. When I show people every check you get from an insurance company and income annuities composed of 3 parts. Part number 1 is principal. That's the orange box. Anybody can give that to you. Part number 2 is interest. That's a gray box. Anybody can give that to you. But you notice how much interest rates matter the older a person gets? They matter less and less and less and less. What matters more? The longevity credits. You see, every check you get includes longevity credits. And the older you get, the more important those are. Well, what are longevity credits based on? Life expectancy. And guess what? Medical technology is improving every single day. And soon people are going to live to be 100, 110, 120, 130 years of age. And when that happens, what's going to happen to the payout rates of these annuities? They're going to go down, not because of interest rates, but because of longevity. Why do you think 100% of my purchases are going into income annuities? Because I'm trying to lock in the highest longevity credits I'm ever going to see for the rest of my life. An income annuity is not an interest rate play. It's a longevity credit play. And these are the highest longevity credits you are likely to see for the rest of your life. Now, when you look at these payout rates on these annuities, they're very high, 8% guaranteed, 9%, 14%. How can these companies pay these rates? And then you get a client. Remember, those are not interest rates. Those are payout rates. Those are cash flow rates, okay? So then somebody will say, okay, well, it says my payout rate's 8.8%. What's my interest rate? They're going to ask you that. What's my interest rate? How are you going to answer that? I got 2 ways to answer it. The first way I answered is, what would you like it to be? Did you know an insurance company does not set the interest rate on an income annuity? They do not. They set the payout rate. Who sets the interest rate? The client by how long they live. I can't tell you what your interest rate is until you tell me when you're going to die. You want a higher interest rate? Live longer. You want a higher interest rate than that? Live longer than that. That's what I love about this product. You get to set your own interest rate. I hope you set it really high. The other way I handle it is this. It doesn't matter what the interest rate is. It doesn't matter. See, when somebody asks you, what is the interest rate? In their mind, they think this is an investment. They are trying to compare to their Merrill Lynch or their Schwab or their E-Trade investment. An income annuity is not an investment. It's a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of your life. You can't compare it to Merrill Lynch or Schwab or E-Trade. Look, I think we make this way too complicated. You took me on an appointment with two new retired people. These are the words that would come out of my mouth. I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, congratulations. You're retired. Now that you're retired, you're going to need a paycheck. At our firm, you can have your paycheck guaranteed or non-guaranteed. Which would you prefer? Most people say guaranteed. Would you like it for your life or for both your lives? Most people say for both of your lives. So then you just repeat what they said. I just heard you say you want a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of both your lives. That's what this does. And there's no other product in the world that will give you a higher payout rate for the rest of both your lives. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is. No other investment in the world will give you a higher guaranteed payout for the rest of both your lives. Why do we make this so complicated? Yeah, but Tom, I don't want to give up control. When I buy that annuity, I give up control. I don't want to touch my principal. Don't you understand? Here's what I say. You're not giving up control when you buy an income annuity. You're gaining control. You're gaining control over longevity risk because it pays you for the rest of your life. You're gaining control over deflation risk because if we see deflation, you're getting this paycheck and then you go to a deflationary economy. It's one of the best things to own in a deflationary economy. There's no market risk in a lifetime income annuity. There's no withdrawal rate risk. There's no order or sequence of returns risk. You are taking 5 key risks off the table simply by putting some money into a lifetime income annuity. I've never said, hey, put all of your money in there. I say put a portion. That's what all the PhDs say, put a portion. Now, if you read any of my books, you're going to read this. As far as giving up control of some of the funds, Dr. David Babel and Craig Merrill of Wharton argue that far from being a disadvantage, giving up some control for guaranteed income is actually a smart move. Many people get frail as they age. Their judgment becomes impaired. Think about dementia. Think about Alzheimer's. You're going to have them within some type of portfolio. Are you kidding me? Think of how many older people have been taken advantage of, not only by strangers, but by their own families. They become vulnerable to pressure to help their children and others with their retirement funds. Many people have lost everything in cases like this. Annuities also reduce the risk that people will withdraw too much or overspend. Babel and Merrill conclude sometimes we pay a very high price for maintaining what we think is control. They're not in control. They're out of control with the risks. And you know who runs out of money? People who don't want to touch their principal. Why? Because they're out of control. They're not in control. They're out of control. And the way you gain control is by putting some of that money into a lifetime income annuity. Yeah, but Tom, it's not liquid. What if I need my money? Look, liquidity is not a one-time event. It's a lifetime event. When you buy a lifetime income annuity, you're increasing lifetime liquidity. Again, I never said put all of your money in an annuity. I said put a portion. You've got this other money that's liquid for short-term needs. Now, some of you write variable annuities or you write income riders that have fees. And you're going to get some people say, well, your fees are too high. Those fees, I'm reading a lot of stuff to say those fees are a ripoff. And here's the words I use. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, I guess if I could retire on low fees, fees would matter. But you know what? I don't get to retire on low fees. You know what I get to retire on? Where can I make the most, lose the least after fees? That's called risk-adjusted net return. And some of these annuities may have fees that other investments don't have, but they got a lot lower risk as well. It's all about risk-adjusted net return, not about the fees. And then I tell an analogy. It'd be just like if you read a paper, and you're going out to buy a new car. And it says, the only car you should ever buy is a white Toyota Prius because they get 75 miles a gallon. And if somebody tries to sell you leather seats or a Bose audio sound system or wood paneling or a Mercedes or a BMW, they are trying to rip you off. Well, that'd be ridiculous. You don't just buy a car based on gas mileage. I mean, it's a factor, right? And I mean, all things being equal, we'd like better gas mileage if we could, but we're not going to drive a Prius if we want to drive a Mercedes or a Ford F-150 instead. It's a factor. It's not the only thing. Fees are a factor. But I promise you this, if you go for the low fee product, you're going to get exactly what you paid for. And when that, I'll tell you one other analogy. We used to have an RV and we were camping once. We were out like in Yuma, Arizona, and I had a maintenance problem. It was on a Sunday and I didn't have the right wrench. I had wrenches, but I didn't have the right size for this bolt that I had to take off. And so I go, oh holy crap, it's Sunday. I went to the only store that was open was a dollar store. So I go to the dollar store and I buy the wrench, you know, and I put this dollar wrench on the bolt and I cranked it, and you know what? The wrench broke. The bolt didn't, the wrench broke. I said, I bought the Vanguard wrench. I bought the low fee wrench. Yeah, it was low fees, but did it do what I needed to do? No, it didn't. And that's what happened if you just focus on fees. It's a factor, but it's not the only thing. Now, let me give you some common long-term care objections. You know, people are going to say things like that. You know, in Paychecks and Playchecks, I got a whole chapter on long-term care, and the chapter's titled, "What's Your Plan?" Because if you've ever heard me speak before, you know I brag about my plan. What's my plan? I never have to go to a nursing home ever. I get to stay in my house till the day I die. The nurse has to come to me. And my favorite part, I get to pick the nurse. You know why? Because I got a plan. I've got long-term care insurance with home health care. I get to stay in my house. So when you get clients who say, I don't want that nursing home insurance, your answer ought to be exactly. This is anti-nursing home insurance. This is stay-at-home insurance. This is stay-in-control insurance. When they say, yeah, but Tom, that long-term care insurance is just too expensive. Here's what your words ought to be. You think long-term care insurance is expensive? You ought to try not having it. Look, I made my parents buy long-term care insurance 16 years ago. They didn't want to. It's too expensive. We'll never need it. It's an insurance company ripoff. My dad said all those words to me. I made them buy it. They are now both in assisted living. $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month. Do you understand there were years my dad never made $10,000 a year? $10,000 a month. I can't imagine their retirement if they didn't have those policies. Well, then some people say, well, Tom, my wife would take care of me. I say, really? Okay, sir, I need you to lay down right here. Now, ma'am, just come over and just pick him up and carry him outside and put him in the car. Would you do that? I can't do that. Well, if you can't do that when you're 67, how the heck are you going to do that when you're 87? That's long-term care. Oh, I love this one. Well, Tom, my long-term care plan's hanging a rack of that pickup truck right there. Yeah, they got a gun rack and they're going to kill themselves. Let me tell you what, the nursing homes are literally overflowing with all these people who are going to kill themselves. You know why? Because they all forget. Look, watching my own parents age has changed my outlook on retirement. I'm now going to show you I'm retiring from lights. Some of you think retirement's going to be 30 or 40 years of golf, tennis, cruises, and line dancing. That's not true. You're going to go through three distinct phases. Let me show you what they are. The first phase is what I call the go-go years. Now, the go-go years, you're playing golf, you're playing tennis, you're going on cruises, you're line dancing. Every day it's happy hour somewhere. That's the go-go years. But make no mistake about it, the go-go years are going to be followed by the slow-go years. Now, the slow-go years, you can still do everything in the go-go. You just don't want to anymore. In fact, you don't want to go downtown after 4:30 because Dad can't see when it's dark out. That's the slow-go years. And the slow-go years are going to be followed by the no-go years. And the no-go years are those years when you're probably not leaving the building till you're leaving the building, if you know what I'm talking about. So we got go-go, slow-go, no-go. Here's what I've learned watching my parents go through these phases. I have learned that the go-go years is all about income, not assets, income, which is why 100% of my purchases are going for income in my go-go years. Now, I define my go-go years as age 60 to 80. You pick your own, but watching my parents age 60 to 80. I'm literally buying as much income as I can buy. Now, this income goes for the rest of my life. But I'll be honest, I'm not taking inflation protection on all of it. Some of it, but not all of it. All right? You know why? Because I don't necessarily want to have a bunch of income when I'm 117. I want to have a bunch of income between 60 and 80 when I do something with it. The go-go years is all about income. It's not about assets. The slow-go years, that's all about long-term care. And here's what I say about long-term care. Any plan is better than no plan. So I sincerely hope you're buying and selling long-term care insurance. I hope you are. But if you're not, I hope you're buying and selling life insurance with a long-term care rider. All right. And if you've got people who can't qualify medically for either one of those, I hope you're selling an annuity that brings them with a bunch of income in their 70s and 80s. Any plan is better than no plan, but you got to have a plan. And the no-go years, that's all about life insurance. Now, I've had people say, Tom, life insurance has nothing to do with retirement. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Life insurance has everything to do with retirement. Do you want to know why so many of your clients are miserable in retirement? Because in the back of their minds, they think they got to leave their kids some money. Oh, we got to leave some money, Johnny and Susie. We got to leave some money, Johnny and Susie. So they're denying themselves a retirement to leave money to their kids. What do I say about that? I say, don't do that. Don't leave your kids any money. Spend every last nickel you got. Leave them life insurance. Now, let me use me as an example. I'm going to put this video on here because I think, let me use me as an example. So we've got 4 kids. So one day we're sitting around saying, hey, how much we leave the kids? I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million policy, a second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary. When we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax free. I mean, that's $250,000 a piece tax free. Let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. Do you know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So now think about this. For 15 cents on the dollar, we get to transfer $1 million tax free to our kids. Hey, who gets to spend all the rest of the money? We do. I want you to spend your money. I want you to leave your kids life insurance because they can get that for pennies on the dollar. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me just flip this slide here. So the odds of your house burning down between now and the day you die are less than 3 out of 100. Y'all got homeowners insurance. The odds of you totaling your car between now and the day you die are 18 out of 100. Y'all got automobile insurance. But the odds of you need long-term care between now and the day you die are 72 out of 100. Oh, I think we're going to let that one go. That's ridiculous. You ought to be canceling your homeowners and auto insurance. You ought to be having long-term care insurance. Now, don't be canceling and say, I told you to. That was an analogy, okay? I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense to have insurance and all these things where you really have a very low chance of using it and not having insurance on something that has a 72% chance. Think of long-term care insurance as a shield. It's a shield protecting all of your other assets and income so you can spend that money the way you want to instead of the way you're going to have to if you don't have a long-term care plan, right? Now, a lot of people have no idea how this low interest rate environment has affected life insurance. You know, I see Dave Ramsey stuff. He says, you ought to have 10 times your income in life insurance. Yeah, Dave, that was good when interest rates were 10%, but interest rates aren't 10% anymore. Interest rates are 2%, okay? So that doesn't work anymore. And so that's why people are underinsured. See, in a 1% interest rate environment, and for most of the last 5-7 years, we've been at a 1% interest rate environment. In a 1% interest rate environment, it takes $5 million invested at 1% to protect $50,000 of income. So in a 1% interest rate environment, if you're making $50,000 of income, you should have $5 million worth of life insurance. Well, good luck trying to tell somebody that who's making $50,000. So here's what I say. In a 5% interest rate environment, we're not there, but if we were, for every $50,000 of income, you should have $1 million worth of life insurance. Now, that is not ridiculous, all right? And so that's a very good rule of thumb. When somebody says, how much life insurance should I have? You just say, well, our firm professionally recommends you carry at least $1 million of life insurance for every $50,000 of income. Now, they're going to say, well, that sounds a little high to me. Then I want you to tell them this story. Now, this story came from my second book. It was called Retirement Income Masters, Secrets of the Pros. So book number 1 was Paychecks and Playchecks. That's my words, my language, my stories that have worked for the last 30 years in this business. You saw, I kind of gave you a little flavor of Don't Worry, Retire Happy. That's the PBS adaptation. It's a little broader. It covers more subjects. But in between those books, I wrote another book, Retirement Income Masters. And when I wrote the conclusion of that book, this is a true story that happened to me. All right, let me set it up. I was on the road doing what I do. I was gone all week, and then I spoke at MDRT in Philadelphia over the weekend, and then I spoke the next week. So when I left my house, I was gone for 13 straight days. I don't know if you've been gone for 13 straight days, but I was gone for 13 straight days. You even got to do laundry on the road if you're gone for 13 straight. So I was gone for 13 straight days. I come home for one day. It's a Saturday, and then I leave Sunday for 6 more days. So I just want to tell you, in this 20-day stretch, I'm gone 19 out of 20 days. Okay, just to set up. I'm home for one day, a Saturday. Well, a couple of days before I got home, I got a call from my oldest son, Ryan. He said, Dad, I need a favor. My best friend's brother was just killed, and the widow just got the check, and it's a big check, and she wants to meet with you on Saturday. I said, Ryan, what did she want to meet with me for? I don't do any personal production. I'm a speaker, author, full time. He said, well, that's why she wants to meet with you, because she knows you know this stuff, and you're not going to try to sell her anything. I said, Ryan, I've been gone for 13 days. I'm home for one day. I'm leaving for 6 more days. So I'm not going to take my one day off driving around the valley looking for some woman who wants to talk to me. But I said, here's what I'll do. If they want to come to our house, I'll sit down with them at 9 a.m. Well, guess what? The widow, the dad, the brother show up at my house. They sat around my dining room table. She was like 42 or 43 years of age, 2 little girls, husband killed unexpectedly, a $1 million death claim. After I gave her my condolences, she said these words to me. She said, Tom, I never thought I'd be a millionaire. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to build a custom house on a lake with a place for my daughters to play. I don't want a cookie cutter house. I want a custom house on a lake, place for my daughters to play. I literally had to stop her mid-sentence and say, ma'am, time out. We're not talking any custom houses today. You only have $1 million in a 1% interest rate environment. That's $10,000 a year. I'm here to see how you or your daughters can possibly survive on $10,000 a year. Now, maybe you could get 20,000, maybe 30,000, 35,000, 38,000, but every expert I know says you can't take out 4%. 4% is going to fail, especially this has to last for 50, 60 years. I said max, and this is pushing it. You are a $38,000 a year woman. You're not a millionaire. There's no custom houses I'm aware of at $38,000 a year. She was shocked. My husband made $250,000 a year. We can't live on $38,000 a year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what is the minimum somebody making $250,000 a year should have in life insurance? $5 million. We could have had a different conversation. Now, I'm telling you a true story about a widow in Arizona who thought she was a millionaire, but I'm wondering about all of you. What would happen if something happened to you on the way home? The same thing that just happened to this widow. I am telling you, your clients are so far underinsured, they have no idea. You're so far underinsured, you have no idea. So let's get out there and just say these words. Our firm professionally recommends you carry at least $1 million of life insurance for every $50,000 of income. When they say that sounds a little too high, you tell them the story of the widow in Arizona who thought she was a millionaire. All right, let me get onto some objections here. See, on the day you die, your spouse is going to ask 4 simple questions. They're not going to be, do we have term life or whole life or variable life or index life? Do we have Met Life or New York Life or State Farm? Those aren't going to be in the questions. The 4 questions your spouse is going to ask: how much life insurance do we have? How long will the dollars last? Can we stay in our same house, and can the kids go to the same school? My question is, what do you want the answers to be? Now, when you're handling objections, let me turn this around. When people say, oh, I don't need that much life insurance, you ask them this. You realize that your children are not going to be able to stay in the same house. You realize that. If something happens to you, your family has to move. You understand that. Do you have a plan of where we're going to move? You understand that your kids are not going to be able to go to that school anymore. So just share with me, what is your plan? If something happens to you, you say you don't need this life insurance, your family has to move. Where are they going to move? And your kids are going to have to go to a different school. Which school are they going to go to? You can turn that around when you're handling objections. Now, when I do a lot of my training, I talk about the value of a human life, and people get offended. They go, oh, you can't put a value on a human life. That's disgusting. Oh, really? Did you know that every single day, attorneys, judges, insurance companies have to put the value on a human life? If you, on the way home tonight, drive through a bus stop and nail 4 people, kill 3 of them, I promise you there's going to be a calculation of a human life value on those people. And so one of the best case studies in human life value was the Twin Towers when they came down, because you know what? You had all different people. You had janitors in there. You had busboys. You had waitresses. You had CEOs. You had hedge fund managers. You had policemen. You had firemen. Now, how do you determine the human life value of a busboy versus the human life value of a CEO? Well, that's what they had to do. Well, here's what they came down with. They looked at 3 things. Number 1, they looked at your age. That's on the left column. They looked at your income. That's on the top one. And then they looked at how many children you have. Now you say, well, what do children have to do with human life value? They have a lot to do with human life value. I don't know if you got kids, but they don't want Kmart jeans anymore. They want, Levi's, or they want the Gap. They don't want to have Kmart or Walmart tennis shoes. They want to have Nikes. It's expensive. College has gotten outrageous. And so what they looked at is, what is your age, how much income do you make, and how many kids do you have? Because those are all the obligations. And look what you'll find. If you look there, somebody who's young, a 35-year-old, they have the most human life value, not a 65-year-old CEO with no kids. They're not worth hardly anything. It's the 35-year-old that's got 3 kids and 200. That's where people are worth money. So what is this telling you? This is telling you that when you're sitting down with people and they're young and they have children, they need millions and millions and millions of dollars of life insurance. See, they don't understand that. Now, there's a place you can go. If you go to lifehappens.org, 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 there's a free human life value calculator. And you can just ask your client some age, and you hit a button, it'll say how much life insurance they should have, okay? So now, let me get into the life insurance objection. I want term insurance. I went to Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and Dave Ramsey says only buy term life insurance. Everything else is a ripoff. Look, if I'm on that appointment with you, these are the exact words I'm going to say. Mr. and Mrs. Client, you've been told a lot of things about life insurance. Let me share with you ultimate truth about life insurance. Here is the ultimate truth. The only policy that matters is the one that's in force on the day that you die. Let me say that one more time. Here is the ultimate truth about life insurance. The only policy that matters is the one that's in force on the day that you die. Doesn't matter if it's term life, whole life, variable life, index life. The only policy that matters is the one that's in force on the day that you die. Would you agree with me? They say yes. And then I say, here's a fact. Less than 2% of term policies are ever in force on the day that you die. Now, that doesn't mean that term life is bad. What that means is term should never be your only policy. Term is there for extra coverage, for supplemental coverage. When the kids are little, when the bills are high, when the paycheck is small, you use term life insurance. But if term is your only policy, you're going to die with zero life insurance in force over 98% of the time. Well, then you get people say, well, Tom, I want a $100,000 term policy. Look, term is cheap for a reason. They're supposed to buy a bunch of it. You're supposed to sell a bunch of it. So you say these words. We sell term in units. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. How many units would you like? I hope you never, ever illustrate term life insurance under $1 million ever again. You may sell it under $1 million, but don't ever illustrate it. Term is cheap for a reason. They're supposed to buy a bunch of it. You're supposed to sell a bunch of it. We sell term in units. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. How many units would you like? I want to buy term and invest the difference. Look, I've been in the business 30 years. I've never seen anybody buy term and invest it. I've seen them buy term and spend the difference, buy term and lose the difference. They don't buy term and invest the difference. And if they really are serious about that, you show them a variable life policy or an index universal life policy, because guess what? That's a buy term and invest the difference under an umbrella where your term life insurance is tax favored, because any term life insurance in a universal life policy counts towards the cost basis of that policy. I could do a whole class on that, and I'll show you some place in a little while where you can get more information. Well, Tom, I got life insurance at work. That's good for me. Well, hey, if you pull that policy out, you know what it says? It says group supplemental life. Group supplemental life. What does supplemental mean? It means in addition to your own personal policy. By the way, have you ever known anybody to get laid off or get fired or quit or retire? Have you ever known anybody do that? Because all those people lost that coverage. And if they had any medical problems, they can't buy life insurance anymore. Work coverage is too small, and it should never be, ever, ever, ever be your only policy. Well, I don't believe in life insurance. Really? Who taught you that, Eddie? Where's your daddy? Dead. Okay, well, look, I can't fix stupid, all right? I can only fix so many things. But how can they not believe in life insurance if they believe in automobile insurance, since there's only 18% chance they're going to use? They believe in homeowners insurance, there's only a 3% chance they're going to use that. What's the odds that you're going to die? 100%. It is the only insurance policy that will pay out 100% of the time as long as it's in force. Well, life insurance is a lousy investment. Really? I'm putting in Forbes saying it's a great bond substitute. You can Google Tom Hegna Forbes life insurance, and you're going to read that article. It's not a lousy investment. It's a great bond substitute. I wrote an article saying the 60-40 portfolio is dead. Long live life insurance and annuities. And in that article, I proved to people that if they would just replace their bonds with either life insurance or annuities, they're going to lower their risk and they're going to increase their returns. Well, you have to keep paying forever. That's what I don't like about that whole life stuff. Well, that's what people don't like. Their whole life. You show them 10 people. You show them a limited pay policy. They love it. In fact, the people who want to buy term and invest the difference, you show them a 10-pay whole life, they're not going to buy term anymore. I promise you. Why? That's how I got into business. Well, I need to talk to my spouse, my wife. Well, guess what? If they give you that, shame on you, because you did a one-legged appointment. Not a good idea. All right. If you know that they're going to have to talk to their spouse, you need to have both of them there. All right. You need to have both of them there. Don't set that one was your fault. You can't set yourself up for that. Well, I don't need it. Exactly. That's why you got to buy it. Didn't you know? You can only buy any insurance when you don't need it. You know when you need a car insurance policy? When you just totaled your car. Hey, you totaled your car. You try calling State Farm and say, oh, boy, I'm glad you answered the phone. I just wrecked my car. I need a policy really, really bad. They won't sell it to you. Oh, hey, Allstate, my house is on fire. I got to get a policy. They won't sell it to you. You can't buy any insurance when you need it. The only time you can buy any insurance is when you don't need it. That's perfect. You're young. You're healthy. You don't need it. That's perfect. That's why you got to buy it. You have to die to win. No, you show them all the ways that you can get money out tax-free. And I got a whole class on on tax diversification. Don't have time to cover it. I won't need life insurance when I'm older. That's the Dave Ramsey. That's the biggest lie of all. You know, I can prove this one in just 2 seconds. Who buys the biggest life insurance policies? Old rich people do. If that was true, they wouldn't buy any of them. Old rich people buy the biggest policies. And if you have life insurance retirement, you're going to retire much better. So let me ask you, was this helpful for you today? I hope it was. You can maybe put that in the question. I hope you're putting some questions in. I'm about to wrap it up, but let me wrap it up this way. I can't tell you if the market's going to go up or if the market's going to go down. I don't know. Are we going to have inflation? Are we going to have deflation? I don't know, but I do know this. If you have a plan, if you work a little longer, save a little more. If you cover your basic living expenses with guaranteed lifetime income, optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation, you maximize your Social Security benefits, have a plan for long-term care, use your home equity wisely, and use life insurance as the most efficient way to pass your wealth to your children, grandchildren, and charities, I do know this. Each and every one of you and your clients can have a happy and successful retirement that's based in math and science, not based on some stockbroker's opinion. So because you stayed with me to the end, I have never offered this offer on any other day than today. So here's the deal. What if you spent 10 minutes a day with me? What if you spent 5 minutes a day with me? What if you learned the answers to 100 objections in the next 100 days? Well, you can do that. So here's the deal. I've got 100 objections. I handled only just about 5 or 10 or 15 of them today, but general client concerns, there's 28 of them. Annuity objections, 18 of them. Other investment objections, 17 of them. Stalls, delays, and tactics that your clients are going to use, 18 of them. Life insurance objections, 17 of them. Top advisor suggestions. So these are top of the table type advisors who tell the way that they handle these things. There's 20 of them. All right. You can sign up for this at tomhegna.com/objections. It's $100. You get to keep this for the rest of your life. You don't just keep it for 100 days. So they put up there $1 a day for 100 days. It's 27 cents for the year. If you use it over the next 2 years, it's going to be less than 14 cents a day. I think I'm worth 14 cents a day to help you sell hundreds of thousands of dollars. Remember, I have helped people sell billions of dollars of insurance and annuities. You can go check my record. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars that I've had the impact on at numerous companies, numerous advisors. So I'm telling you, this stuff works. There's no subscription. There's no ongoing fees. I'm not selling you an $800 package, a $1,000 package, $100. So with that, I want to turn it back over to Jeremiah, and he can take some questions and you know, maybe you want to chime in on what you think about the objection thing here.
My first question, by the way, folks, here's what I'd like you to do. In the chat box right now, give me one word that you would use to describe this training today, because that was epic. That's my word, Tom, epic. Go ahead, just put that in there. Show Tom some love. I mean, you know, he's been on the road all year. He's back home now in beautiful Arizona. He's not traveling again, and he wanted to take a few minutes today to just drop the honey, as we like to call it. So we got breakthrough from Lance, powerful, totally epic, says Susan. Fantastic, says Robert. Great. Wally says it translates. Kara, thanks. Valuable, motivating, says Kevin. Outstanding. Real life, says Jonathan. Beautiful. Yeah, here's somebody who's been in the trenches. So first, I disagree with your price. I think that there should be at least 1 0 after that. Maybe 2 actually would be better. And so just thank you, Tom. I know you're not doing this for the money. I mean, it's $100. It's just absolutely, you know, that's kind of insane. Here's what I want to do. I want to support you, Tom, and folks. I want 2019 seriously to be the best year ever. I don't make a dime off of recommending Tom's products, just so that you guys know, but I want you to invest in yourself. And I know that when you can have an answer to something that is an objection, to me, that is valuable. So here's what we're going to do. Robbie from Tom's team is going to tell me, we got 140 some people on the line right now. If we get 20 people, okay, just 20, if we get 20 people to get in, what I'm going to do is I have a series of scripts that have been proven to get appointments. So Tom's got the back end handled. I got the front end. I got some proprietary scripts that are part of my $15,000 training program. They're not part of Advisors. For those of you that are in Advisors, they're not in there. They're only part of my super high-end program. I want to invest in all of you. And I'm such a believer in Tom. Here's what I'm going to do. I get paid $5,000 to write 3 emails to generate leads because they work, right? People make 10 to 20 to 30 to $40,000 with those emails. So they're totally worth it. But I've got some scripts and templates that you can use that I'm going to give you as a gift. And here's how it's going to work. You need to put in the line right now, because I don't have access to Tom's merchant account. You need to put that you're in. Just put the words "I'm in" if you're in. And then Robbie's going to confirm. He's going to look at your names. He's going to see. And if you're in and you buy today while we're on the call, I'm going to go ahead and issue to Robbie the scripts and the rights to pass on to you exclusively. Okay. And I'm doing that just because I'm a huge fan of Tom's. I want him to win. I want you to win. And frankly, Tom has been one of the most generous people I've ever seen in this industry, which is why he's such a legend. He can't stay at home. Everyone wants him to speak on his stage. That's why he's so brilliant. So, all right, we got the ends. So good. We got Gail, Glenn, Chris, Sumi, Jack, Frank, Lord, Donna, Rommel, Ken, Randy, Susan. Okay. Tevis is like, I'm in big time. Tanya, Alan, awesome. You guys are epic. Love that. Paul, Anthony, are you're part of the program. Rob, awesome. Okay, good. So here's what you're going to do. Looks like we got our 20 in here, but it needs to be in the checkout. So if you're in, awesome. Now you're going to go to tomhegna.com/objections. Again, I don't make a dime off of Tom doing this, but I really want to support you. I want to support Tom. This is how our industry thrives, is by all of us coming together and helping each other out. And that's what I'm doing here. Tom, I had to stop using pen and pad, and I just went straight to note taking. I know I got so many comments here. People just saying, man, he's going so fast. Can I get the recording? How do I get this? I mean, I could see myself listening to this in the car like 10 times to finally get like just a sample of what was in your brain. So that was outstanding.
And Jeremiah, I appreciate all this. There's also a coupon code down there for 30% off anything else on my website, THSale30. And the reason I bring that up is the last time I was with you, we offered a whole package deal where they get the books, the audiobooks, the DVDs, and all of that. My slide decks are awesome. I mean, if you ever want, a track to talk to clients on, they're all scripted. And so anything else you want on my website is 30% off because you've been so generous in hosting us. So there are other things that we were just going to focus on, really focusing on this objection piece for $100, but I do have a lot more that I hope people take advantage of, because I got audiobooks they can listen to in the car, because you're not going to get this by just attending a 45-minute webinar. Why does the Army have me take apart and put together my weapon 4,000 times? It's because you burn it inside your heart instead of just in your head. So, we've got other things. I've got training and coaching, but this was kind of the focus for today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, head over to tomhegna.com/objections. Lock in this, $1 a day for $100. For $100, you can get 100 objections handled. And Robbie, who is on your team, was just mentioning here in the comments that it's mobile friendly. So you can actually you think this is great. Imagine 10 minutes a day with Tom. Tom is kind of like your coach and Tony Robbins all at once. He gets you fired up. So it's mobile friendly as well. So you can just be listening to it, conditioning yourself, hearing it over and over again. So you have that confidence when you step in front of people and you got this, that you have that swagger, not arrogant swagger, the humble and hungry swagger, the swagger that comes with confidence and knowing, your craft and you're a master of your craft. And that's really what Tom's program allows you to do. So as long as we get to the 20, Robbie, I'm going to get that over to you, buddy. I'm going to send you over those scripts, which are excellent for cold email, and you can also use them for warm email as well. I'll show you some ways to do that. And those will be sent out to everybody probably within a week. Okay, I want to make sure that my team gets them together right, and it's really simple and straightforward for you guys. That's fantastic. Tom, thank you so much for this call. Is there any final words you want to share?
Any other questions or objections? We can take them now. If people have to get off, they can always email us at info@tomhegna.com, info@tomhegna.com. We respond to all of those. So, I'm here to help people. Obviously, I'm not getting rich on $100, but I think you know, if people would really take advantage of the stuff that I put together things because I was a top advisor, I was a manager. I know it works. I know it doesn't work. I don't put the stuff out that does not work. All my stuff works, you know, and like I said, I've had multi-billion-dollar impact in the industry, and there are very few people that have had a multi-billion-dollar impact, you know, so this stuff does work.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, I'm going to field this one to you. Glenn's asking, I have some thoughts, but I want to hear, you know, I think Glenn wants to hear from you. Any advice for emails after you make a connection on LinkedIn?
Well, I mean, that's really in your bailiwick. You're better at that. What I try to do is build more of a relationship. I don't try to just sell them something right away. So I believe in what you've told your people is that you provide value. So you might want to send them a clip of one of my YouTube videos or an article from Forbes magazine. Hey, I thought this would really help you in retirement. There was a great one just today in Kiplinger just this week about retirement and retirement income. And I thought it was a great article. I mean, that'd be great for somebody who's thinking about retirement. It was very pro annuity, very pro reverse mortgage, believe it or not. It was pro, and it had quotes from Dr. Wade Pfau. So things like that, I think, can help. So again, use third party and then meet them at Starbucks. If you're having trouble getting an appointment, say, hey, I got a Starbucks card. I thought maybe we just talk for 15 minutes over a coffee or tea, very non-threatening. I know of a top advisor who makes top of the table. She does it in Starbucks in Queens. She literally has her own table in Starbucks in Queens, and she just meets people every 15 to 30 minutes all day long, every day.
Yeah, that's really good. And Glenn, what you're saying is so key. He says, I want to have a conversation. I don't just want to sell them. And that's ideal. That strategy that Tom is talking about is one that we teach. So after the connection, you can approach it from a networking standpoint. Hey, and you know, what a better time of year than New Year? Everyone's making resolutions, right? Here's a simple script. Hey, Glenn, awesome to connect with you. I've got a New Year's resolution to be a better connector. I'm really trying to be a better networker here in insert city name here, Chicago, Scottsdale, Boston, wherever. Would love to get together with you to kind of learn about your business and what you do personally and professionally, see if anybody in my network can help out and vice versa. You know, and I mean, that is all you need to do. That is super simple. There's another cool tool you can use. Like you can do something like this, right? Hi, Glenn, you know, I just wrote your name with a smiley face on it. And I go like this, and you can use a tool called Loom where you can do a quick short video. And then you do, hey, Glenn, it was so awesome to connect with you on LinkedIn. I just wanted to send this personal video because I know it can be a little hard in the virtual life to connect with real humans, but I'm working on a New Year's resolution to be a better connector. I'd love to connect with you and see if you might be open to a 15-minute video chat or even, you know, grabbing a cup of coffee somewhere here in the Boston area. You know, thanks so much, and I'll put my calendar link below. That's it. You know, that like super simple. You can do something like that, and what that does is it bridges that connection. The reason why you want to hold this up is so that they see that you personalize the video for them. Okay, otherwise you won't be able to tell. They might think it's a generic video. Anyways, that's a little technique you can use.
Jeremiah, Amin asked the question, what is the name of the Canadian book Tom has written? It's Paychecks and Playchecks for Canadians, and Don't Worry, Retire Happy for Canadians. So I think they're available on our website, or I believe they are. But you can just Google Don't Worry, Retire Happy for Canadians. There's probably a Canadian website too that you can order from. I know Jim Ruda has them. Michael Morrow has them up there. They were my co-authors for that book, so they could help.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. Any other questions that come through? We're happy to help you guys out. Okay. Well, Robbie, you're going to let me know if you hit the 20, and when you do, let us know. We'll probably send out that to you sometime next week. All right, we already hit it. Awesome. So congratulations to all of you guys who stepped up. Not only are you going to get the best objection training right now, you're going to get some of the top scripts that you can use to get in the door in various different ways. Once again, I think that this is highly undervalued. I'm assuming this goes away after this, but if you haven't signed up, tomhegner.com/objections. Tom has my highest endorsement. Not only that, MDRT endorses him. He's been in Forbes. You don't get to be on PBS special because you don't know what you're doing. Some of the top minds in our day, you know, our top thought leaders, the guy who wrote the book on the elastic brain, or the plastic brain. You know, all these experts have been there, and Tom has shared the stage with these amazing human beings. So Tom, thank you so much, my man. It's always a joy to connect with you, and hope
Thank you,
you enjoyed
Jeremiah.
hope you enjoyed the break you're taking in December, because I know January you're probably going to live on a plane.
Yeah, and we're recording this, so you can let everybody know we will have a recorded link. So I'm sure you can share it with the people who signed up.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome, good deal. Well, thanks so much, Tom. Appreciate it. Bye, everyone. Thanks for investing in yourself. Whatever you do out there, go out there, make somebody happy today. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.